Welcome back, WNST, Taos, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively merging the streams. WNST and Baltimore Positive will change before your very eyes this weekend. Much of it really brought on by my pal Bill Cole from Cole Roofing. He takes no credit and all blame for Baltimore Positive. He joins us now from parts unknown, and you're zooming as much as any business owner I know, right? Like it looks like you're in an office over a roof, but you have one of those nifty Zoom. People think my leg lamp's not real. They think this is part of like a green screen, but I assure you that's a real leg lamp.
Yeah, they don't know you well enough.
Yeah, I need to get fake, tapestry behind me with a Bill Cole mug somewhere over here, I guess.
I think you can go either way. I love how these pictures look, and it ends up initiating some kind of conversation because people seem to enjoy them. They pop a little bit. But I also appreciate like seeing into people's houses or their work areas or their offices. And, sometimes they have pictures of their kids on the wall, and that can also lead to
a lot of people are concerned that my ice cream is melting, so I do get that from time to time. So,
and especially as good as that Taharka stuff is, man, you can't let that melt. So
yeah, my son's birthday was on Tuesday. He turned 36. And, it's not like we blow out candles anymore, get cake, or even hug each other anymore during the middle of a plague, right? So he texts me that he, went running around, had a good day with his wife. And the only thing he texted me was a picture of Wake and Bake ice cream. He said he got this, and he said it was a good birthday. I said, well, it must have been a good birthday for Taharka. We have the Taharka guys coming on this week. Bill Cole is here from Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy. Do you want to do football or do you want to do pandemic? I mean, I'm good with either one because everything intersects through the pandemic, right? Like the reason you're on Zoom right now, the reason that you and I aren't having a coffee right now, we haven't been in the same room together, and we haven't been in the same room together like 7 months. I mean, I feel like Zoom allows us to feel closer than maybe we are, but it feels like 5 minutes ago that I fist bumped you and had a little coffee out of your mug out at the Accelerant event, and dude, that was like March, right? Maybe February.
You want my quick Taharka story?
Sure, if it involves ice cream, I want to hear it.
Right. So you turned me on to them. I was unaware of them prior to you.
You'd never heard of Taharka?
I had not. I don't know.
The reason I know about them is they did a lot of stuff in the charity space for years. I think the first time I ever had Taharka ice cream was at the Raven Stadium on the club level. My wife and I were invited to cook like celebrity chef thing. It was for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Right. And hi, Paula Bragg. Hi, Jason Pappas. And we made my special Dundalk Venezuelan nachos that we make as a pulled pork shoulder that we did right. And they were serving Taharka ice cream. And I had never had honey graham ice cream in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Like I didn't even know what, but I love honey grahams, and so I had that. Dude, it had to have been 10, 12 years ago, and Best of Baltimore events and tastings and stuff like that. But I had never seen it for purchase in a pint until I was in a grocery store at Charles. I don't know what they call it anymore. Sprout. It's not Sprout. I don't know the name of it. But Greens, I don't know. But anyway, they had Taharka ice cream, and I had never seen the honey graham available. And I picked it up. And I said, this is a local company. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to put a picture up, and maybe somebody local will see it and sponsor me because I love it. So I started eating the honey graham ice cream, and within 3 days, the CEO threw me a note and decided to sponsor Baltimore Positive. So that's a good Taharka story.
All right. So you introduced me to Taharka. I go, tooling around on the web. I see their thing, and this is probably May, right?
Right.
They are launching these delivery services, right, to get their ice cream out into the county.
They'll bring it to Bel Air to you, right? They'll chuck it on Friday, right?
So I give my wife the mission. I'm like, look, you got to make this happen. We got to make sure, because we had to wait until a certain day, and then it's kind of first come, first serve. You sign up, and when they're done, they're done. So we get in, we do it, we get our ice cream delivered.
First time in your life you've ever had ice cream delivered, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely destroy it. Like it's the most wonderful stuff ever. Like the honey graham is life changing.
So is the pistachio. Have you been there yet?
Yeah, but that's not
my big
not
three are honey graham, pistachio, and peanut butter cup. Don't sleep on the peanut butter cup.
Peanut butter cup.
And I'm a vanilla guy, but I mean, I take a lot of grief. I had a vanilla cone last night.
I even like the key lime just as a total change of pace, right? So,
Well, I'm not a key lime. My wife loves
yeah,
the roasted strawberry because it's not
mm,
sweet. Strangely
yeah,
enough,
can't do that one.
it's more of a tart strawberry. My dad loves strawberries. Look, we love the Ravens,
So
right?
listen,
Like,
hold on. I gotta,
oh,
I
you
gotta
got
tell
more.
you
You
the,
ate it.
I
Okay,
gotta
okay.
tell you the real part, right?
Go
That was
ahead.
the easy.
Did you put butterscotch on it or something?
No, so we go through all this effort to get this ice cream delivered, and like 3 days later, I'm
It's
in
gone.
this little non-chain grocery store in Falston, and there's an entire
Fleet.
case full of Taharka ice cream. Like I made some guy drive from Baltimore City all the way out to Harford County to deliver me ice cream that was readily available 5 minutes from my house. Needless to say, I loaded up, and I'm really happy that they happened to be in that grocery store.
Well,
So,
I'm happy they're Baltimore, and I'm
yep.
merging this thing to Baltimore positive. What does Baltimore positive mean to you? Because you and I have spent long hours discussing brands and the city and the future of the city long before the pandemic, right? And now that we're at the bottom of the bottom, and I went to Houston this weekend for football for no one, and and I wrote a very hopeful piece, right? I wrote a very hopeful piece that God, I hope this is the bottom. I hope that landing in Houston and sitting on the roof and playing football in a $2 billion studio, literally for no one, where
Yeah.
they've had Super Bowls before. Um, I hope this is the bottom. We have an election coming up in a couple weeks. I'm sure the bottom is going to be when the president declares that that he was cheated. Yeah, of course, because he's been getting cheated for 74 years.
So quickly on that topic, I think our job is to try and reinforce like civil patience, because I don't believe on election night there'll be an outcome. And I really hope everyone just doesn't lose their stuff and all kinds of like unnecessary disruption occurs.
Well, we've
It's
seen
gonna,
this happen in other places around the world. It's kind of
yeah,
frightening when it's here.
it is very scary. And look, I get it. It's all very, everyone is just emotionally spun up really tight. But remember, like you just get up and you go to work the next day, and I don't know, these things, they seem to be a huge deal, but in your world, you can choose to take the steps that lead to better outcomes for yourself. So I don't know. I get nervous about that, but that
I'm
Baltimore,
very nervous about this. Yes. I'm
yeah,
very nervous that the guy leading it is an effing maniac and who's being supported by people listening to us right now, saying the most outrageous, untruthful, vile, cheering the death of RBG over the week. I mean, it is. We're living in a different time, Bill. I don't know what else to say. And it would be very easy for me to sit here and talk about Lamar Jackson and how wonderful 2-0 is and Patrick Mahomes. You'll hear that next hour. You heard that last hour. But there is this a seriousness going on in our culture right now that football's a nice little opiate on Sunday afternoons, but we got real issues here.
we do. Your question was, what does Baltimore positive mean to me? And I just think that in our discussions, there was such an opportunity to have more meaningful, thoughtful conversations, and just to try and find those people who know more about the education system than us, know more about the criminal justice system than us, and then engage them in meaningful conversation that us group of simple football and baseball followers, like, we need to engage and listen and learn and hear about.
Learn. No,
Yeah, and
learn
if
would be like people need to learn more. Like I don't know what else to
yeah,
say. Like that is the I've spent my whole life learning, right? Like from the time my father held a flashcard up to me when I was 3 years old, I wanted to learn. It's the reason I read books. It's the reason I talk to smarter people. It's the reason I went to college. It's the reason I read newspapers. It's the reason I read anything. And it's probably at heart why guys like you laugh at me that I don't watch movies and I'm not interested in Netflix, because I did all that with videotapes back in the 80s, right? Like I watched movies the first 25 years of my life. The last 25 years of my life, I've just been probably a much more serious cat than Nasty Nestor would
yeah.
portray. And
Well,
the people
don't
around me knew what a serious cat I was, but the seriousness of what's going on in our country at every level is something I don't think any of us could have predicted, 10 or
So
15 years ago, right?
yeah, so don't sleep on Netflix because once you get it trained, it will feed you the stuff that you want. So I'm getting
Like
these
Facebook
doc
and Twitter do that right now, right?
well, right, but I'm getting the documentaries, right, that people are producing. Like I'm finishing one on the Challenger, right? I mean, I remember as a kid being in school watching the
Krista
Challenger.
McAuliffe, Ronald McNair. I can go through the
Yeah,
names. What do you want to know?
super good. Well, it was just a great documentary, right? So that's all I'm saying. Just don't sleep on Netflix, right? There's some
No,
content
I love
there.
documentaries. I sit here and watch Nat Geo. I like learning stuff. I'm
Right.
just not entertained by, whatever Charlie Sheen's been in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I'm just
I
not.
get it.
Right? That's all. And that's not anything against Charlie Sheen, who I'm sure has done a lovely amount of cocaine and various other things. But, like, I'm just not interested in Hollywood in that way, other
Yep.
than maybe talking to an actor on the show about something that would be cause related or how to make a movie. But the actual notion that I'm going to sit and watch a Marvel comic movie, just it's just not where I am. I don't, in the same way that some people aren't going to sit and watch Meet the Press or try to figure out what the Constitution says, right? Literally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is really where we're trying to go with this, but the movie thing is for 2 hours you can sort of escape. So and that's fundamentally what it is. And I like the Marvels because there's a hero, the good guys always win. Like that's the I don't if I'm gonna watch a movie, I don't need to be more depressed, more sad. I don't need any of that, right?
So what
So
you're saying is you haven't watched Contagion lately, is what you're
no,
saying.
yeah,
No, all right.
I think maybe one of the things with
I'm
Baltimore
living
Positive,
Contagion.
right? I think one of the things with Baltimore Positive is um, once you get a chance to have these people, these thought leaders, helping us unpack some of these complicated things, then it's left to guys like you and I to like talk about that in a way that we would talk about while we were eating crabs and drinking beer, right? Like it's not the education level, the understanding, the vocabulary, the deep thought, the connecting of points. That's hard for us to do on a regular basis. So if we're able to just sort of absorb that, and then you and I through football and movies and music and all that good stuff,
And
we
food.
we
Don't forget food. I've been talking
food,
a lot
right?
about
Ice
food lately.
cream, right? I mean, we just kind of make it somewhat enjoyable, and we start to talk about some of these other important stuff. I to me, it's just kind of elevating the conversation, right? Not
If
just
all
in
you talk about all day is football, I'm probably, I don't know
yeah,
what to say, but at this point, football's a nice appetizer or a dessert, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? All of
yeah,
us, the main meal is paying our bills, wearing a mask, staying healthy, getting to the end of this, and starting with voting, right? So, like, how can we affect our culture? How can we affect our city, our state, our municipality, our county, our region, our area, our friends, our schools, our workspace, our social circumstance, our church, or religious, whatever it is? Where we are right now is I think all of us have realized things are changing very rapidly in our country and that we're moving in a different direction right now, but the direction needs to be vaccine and how do we deal with this contagion, right? And where will we be in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? Because that has to be the vision for people, because if you're concerned about Halloween or Thanksgiving right now, right, like in the near short term, you're probably going to be unhappy because you're still going to be wearing a mask. The virus is probably going to be worse 8 weeks from now than it is now because every scientist in the world told us it was going to be that way. And all the numbers are trending that way this week, by the way, that the weather is broken. So the notion that we're taking masks off and hugging our aunt on Christmas Eve, that's probably not happening, right? And I think
yeah,
that at the beginning of this, when they sold this as a 14-day plan, remember that?
yeah.
The,
Sure,
the goof down in D.C. is holding up a chart that says
sure.
14-day plan. That was a lie on the face of it. All of it's a lie. But the 14-day plan's now over. We're in it. And how we get out of it involves people working together. And that's probably the parable of all of this, right? Like literally in all of this, it takes everyone in the society working together. And we haven't been very good at that this year.
I don't know that our country will ever be good at that because we are so individualistic and we're such a melting pot and we all have different opinions. Here's one question that I've been conversing with my wife on, because you mentioned Halloween. Like, Halloween is a community event,
It's a
right?
neighborhood event, right?
Yeah, like unlike
It's
most
about your
holidays.
house and
Yeah.
6 blocks out, kind of, sort of, for most people, right?
Well, and I don't know that there's anything else like that except for maybe Fourth of
School or
July, right?
drop-in dance, right? Or Little
Yeah,
League,
from a holiday standpoint,
from a
right?
holiday.
Like,
Okay.
maybe Fourth of
Christmas, we go to
July.
a relative, or we right,
Exactly.
right. We're not sharing it with our neighbors. Maybe a cookout.
Right.
Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Fourth of July, you go to parades. Maybe that's the kind of community thing. I'm wondering, like, I'm not a big fan of government kind of like stepping in and telling us how to live our lives, right? But in a public safety crisis, there's obviously a role for them. I'm debating, if I was Hogan, whether there's a place here to make a recommendation around Halloween. And my reason for that is that you are getting significant strife built up between neighbors that isn't really rooted in any kind of, malicious intent, but it's having very different perspectives on where we are in the world and what we're comfortable with. And everybody automatically agrees that we're learning how to live in this new normal, and these are crazy times and you need to be patient with people. You don't know what's going on in their circumstance. So we all agree on that. But like, running kids to people's front doors, or maybe we should put the bowl at the curbside, or maybe we shouldn't do it at all, or, well, they're all wearing masks, right? So just make a mask into your costume and it's good. I don't know what the right answer is, right? I don't know what the science says. I don't know. And I'm not even sure that I want to stand on a soapbox and try and explain to my neighbors what I believe the right answer is, because that's not really my job either.
Well, part of knocking on doors in Halloween and knocking on doors in a political season, right? Because Halloween's 3 days before the election, right? I would say that watching the lawyer in St. Louis with the machine gun out on the lawn, and Pulp Fiction mama out there, Honey Bunny out there with the gun, like, and how they were fableized. I mean, the orange guy invited them to speak at the convention after holding guns on people out in front of their mansion in St. Louis. That's not a house where my Latin-looking child is going to be knocking on the door asking for, like, Twizzlers, right? I mean, literally, the knocking on the door and walking up to someone's property and knocking on the door, that is Halloween, right? That's what Halloween has been for 75 years in our country.
But it is a lot different today. Like, I think about when I was growing up, cutting through people's yards to get to the street, one street over to my friend's house. Like,
Dude, I'm
that
from
was,
Dundalk. You don't think I
yeah,
wanted to go pool hopping this summer with my wife? And I
right. I
thought,
mean,
pool hopping in Dundalk will get you shot in 2020,
yeah, right.
period.
It's a very different world we live in
Go get in the
today.
bathtub,
Absolutely.
get the hose out or something, Bill
But
Cole is here from Cole Roofing. Go ahead, Billy.
no, my question is, does Hogan, should our leadership be offering some guidance around this? Not necessarily a mandate, but like, hey, I got with my chief scientists and my health people, and based on the numbers, like, here's kind of the modified version of Halloween that we recommend everyone deal with.
Goobers are good, Raisinets are bad. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
right.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Like, maybe it's a candyless Halloween. I don't know.
Ooh. Maybe
It's
I could go
super
out and get some
goofy.
broccoli or some shallots or something in my bag.
Right.
Well, in the case of all of this, I got to let you go in a minute, but you haven't talked any football at all, right? So far from me to stick to sports,
It's
but
deja vu, man.
I don't
I
know if you've
saw
heard,
this.
Bill.
I
We're
saw
2-0
this.
and they're 2-0, and they're coming here and they've got the crown, and no one's going to be there, and the home field advantage is gone. All that. Football's been a nice little opiate for me. I don't know if everybody has felt it the way I felt it, and I got on a plane and went to Houston, but it's been the only normal thing in my life the last 7 months. I mean, other than doing radio or video or whatever the hell
Yeah.
I'm doing here
Yeah.
and working my ass off, which I kind of like doing, and launching a new website. But other than sitting home and dreaming and working, there hasn't been a whole lot normal. For people who do watch the games on TV that never go, this is going to be as good as it's going to get during a plague for most people.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's nice. I think there's anticipation built up around it. There's, the actual action of the game, and then there's, post game the next day with friends to talk. I mean, it is just nice to have something else to talk about. As a Raven fan, like, I've seen this. Like, I know he can do this. I know they can do this. I'm happy. I'm excited.
You're not going to fall asleep on a game Monday night. You're going to get a nap in and get
No,
right.
I'm probably gonna fall. I'm probably gonna fall asleep.
You're going to fall asleep on a 24-21 game with 9 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter.
Maybe not. But that's really tough, man. I mean, that's pretty late at night. So we'll see. I think we handle them personally. I think we handle them. I think last week you saw some who was it? The Chargers almost beat them or somebody. Yeah. So
all the Kansas City people have said that's an energy issue, that they flew out to L.A., they walk into this 100,000-seat stadium that had never been played in before, and they played flat, right? So from a Ravens perspective, the interesting part for me in the stadium here is how it's such a huge game. And I learned this Sunday in Houston. I wrote a huge blog about all that I learned in Houston. You can go read it, and talking about my happiness and my sadness and where the future lies. But the one thing I learned is home field advantage is gone. Like the fact that Lamar could go down and work in a quiet environment in Houston, it's going to benefit Patrick Mahomes being in Baltimore on Monday night in a massive way that my wife is not in the upper deck screaming at him.
I can't speak to the appearance of culture in the Kansas City locker room. I really only know that at the Ravens level, and only from afar, right? From what I think I can tell. My sense is we have good culture, good energy, good people. There's enough guys that when anybody is flat, somebody's picking them up. So I like that as an advantage for us. I think being hungry, coming off the last 2 years' disappointments, that kind of stuff, it's just a little extra fire for our boys. So, yes, no fans. Yes, it levels the playing field a little bit, but I don't know, man. We're playing some defense. It's going to be a good one.
I flew all the way to Houston. I sat up on the roof, and when the post-game press conference happened, I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand in the Zoom. So I didn't get a question for Harbaugh, and I had a good question for him. He leaves the podium, and I text him right away. I'm like, I flew all the way to Houston. I didn't get called on to ask a question. I'll track you down. And he starts texting me back, right? So the absurdity of me flying down to not be with him, to text back and forth, to then have a Monday press conference so that I can ask Lamar Jackson a question. That's the new world of media. Bill Cole is here. He's Cole. You have to go because I know you have other meetings because you do Zoom meetings all day. He is Cole Roofing. I got the hat, I got the mug, and Gordy and Energy. Give him 30 seconds on what you do. Besides run around Nancy Longo's roof at Pierpoint.
Yeah, right. This up here, we do roofing and we do solar. We can do it on the roof. We can do it on the ground. We can do it on parking lots. We
saw it everywhere in Houston over the weekend too. So everywhere I go, I see solar.
Yep. Been taking care of people's roofs in Baltimore for over 100 years. Would love to take care of anybody that has any issues. That's just kind of how we're built. So
the roof is on fire. Is that good?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was the 80s.
Let's avoid the fires. Fires and roofing is not a good combination.
No. That was just a song back in the day.
I know the song.
My wife made me I did watch something on Tuesday night that was not sports related. My wife had taped over the weekend an MTV biography about the business of MTV, right? And
nice.
David Bowie in 1983, when he's the biggest star in the world, wagged his finger at Mark Goodman and said, "Why do you not play black artists?" And like they climbed in a hole. So here we are 37 years later and wondering, culturally what's going on. So I got a little music on my brain. Is that all right? I haven't
Yeah,
been to a
that's
concert
good.
in 7 months, all right?
We may have touched every single possible topic that you and I ever talk about today. We really
David
went.
Bowie and I, 31 minutes together chatting in 1991 in the Baltimore Positive Music Classic area. There's my plug. How about that?
We circled the globe today. Good being with you,
Bill
brother.
Cole, worried about Halloween and the Ravens and all sorts of things. He'll put a roof on your place and fix you up. Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy. I am Nestor. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and usually on Zoom. We never stop talking Baltimore sports and Baltimore positive.